Hello everyone, Colin Canet here for Woodwork Web, and we're back here with part 2, which is making the lid for this little display box, this little Pickers display box. What we need to do is have 4 components. We're going to use 2 rails and 2 stiles, and what we're going to show you right now is how to choose the size. So the first thing we need to do today is to determine how long these pieces are for this lid we're putting on this little Pickers box here, Pickers display box. Now, the length of a door is really easy because you measure the full length of whatever it is, and that's the length of your door. That's easy. But the trick becomes in what is the width going to be. And of course, you want to fill from here to here, so this whole area needs to be another board. But the question is, what length is it? And the reason we don't know that is because there's a tongue that goes in each side. Now, I happen to use the Freud bit set, and they do these things, they make these things, they're so precise that when you measure from here, and if you look inside you'll see there's a bearing. If you measure from the bearing to the very outside of the bit, it's 7/16 of an inch. Now that tells us that that's going to be how deep the tongue is. So the tongue is going to extend 7/16 on this side and 7/16 on this side. So all we have to do is measure this area to this area, add 7/16 here, the same on the other side, and that gives us the length of the piece of wood that we need to work with in here. But if you add 7/16 and 7/16, what do you get? 14/16. And lo and behold, what is that? 7/8 of an inch. So all you have to do is measure from here to here, add 7/8 of an inch, and that's exactly how long this piece needs to be here that's going to be that door component. I've installed my bit, and this is going to be the bit that will give us the tongue, because you can see it's got 2 blades on it. And I've set the height, and I've just eyeballed it because it's not real critical. If we're off by a hair, it isn't going to matter on a piece like this. So I've set it as close as I can to a 1/2 inch, and I've actually got just a piece of scrap. I'm actually going to run that, but before I do that, I'm just going to use that, I'll use that piece of scrap as a test. Before I do that, what I need to do is something called isolating the bearing. And if you've seen our video on making doors, you'll know that with all of these bearings that have, or bits that have bearings on them, we need to isolate them. And the way we do that is by using a straight edge so that we make the bearing run exactly parallel or exactly equal to the fences on both sides. And I just want to check and make sure that one's bumping on that side. I'm going to have to move that one back. And I'll do that and we'll run a test piece. This is my test piece that I just ran a few minutes ago. And the reason that we run the tongues first is because we use the tongues to determine the height of the slots, because now we need to cut slots all the way around, including what's going to fit in here. And we use this to determine that height. And the way we do that is we just, when we turn the router on, we just touch that, just the very edge of that, and when we get no wood on either side, actually what you should see is just a tiny bit of a flaring on each side. That's when you know you've got the wood absolutely centered. And we'll show you some very tight shots of that as we go along. And there's all 4 pieces, and we've got slots now cut on all 4 of those pieces, and the way this goes together now, I always mark the bottoms of my pieces, and those will just slide together just like that. And that one just like that, and that's it. That's the door already made. Now the next thing we need to do is, because we're going to put glass in here, and because in case the glass breaks we need to be able to get out of it, on the table saw I'm just going to cut just this side of this out. But before I do that, I'm actually going to glue all of this together so that it's nice and rigid, and then I'll do these little bits on the table saw after. So here's our top of the little cabinet, and this is the back side, and you can actually see that I've already cut out the rabbets. I decided to go ahead and do this on the table saw before I did the assembly, and you can see I did a stop and start here, so part of this still needs to be cut out, but I didn't want to cut it all the way down because I still want some glue parts in there. So what I want to show you now just quickly is what we do to glue this together, and we just basically put a little bit of glue on the front and the back of each tongue and a little bit inside, and just glue it together. So what I've got here, of course, is my square, and I've just lined it up on there, and all I need to do is touch that with my fingers. Now this is what I do on the back of it. This is my 23 gauge pinner, and I just put a couple of small pins on the back of each one, and that way I don't have to clamp it, because the glue is holding it firm. And now I can actually pick that up, and it'll just dry on its own. I see there's a little bit of glue on the front of that leaked through. We'll just get that off of there, and that's good. Oh, that came from underneath. So all we need to do now is wait for that to dry. We'll do a little bit of sanding on that, and then we'll cut out the slots here. So now that our door is all nice and dry and hard, what I did, because we want to take the glass that's in here, we want to be able to remove it in case it gets broken, because this is going to be traveling back and forth to different shows and different events, so there's a chance that the glass could get broken somewhere. So I wanted the person to be able to get into it to replace that, so rather than fitting the glass in and making it semi-permanent, what I did was cut a rabbet around the ends so that when we put the glass in, and there's the glass, it's a little hard to see, but there's the glass, and it just drops in now because I cut it to size. And now all the pieces that I cut out of the rabbet, I can now put those back in all sides, and they fit like a glove. And now all I need to do is use some small screws to fasten that to the actual frame, and then when you see the frame from that side, it will look perfect. So before I fasten the frame in, I need to do two things. I need to drill some little holes in these so that we don't split this wood, and I also need to finish all of this this cabinetry, because of course we don't want to put the glass in and everything and then finish it after. So that's going to be the next step. So this concludes this part of this video, which was making the door, the top door for the little cabinet. And now we'll do the last part of this, which is going to be finishing. So I'm Colin Cadet for Woodwork Web, and at the end of this video you'll see a couple of links where we put the box together and where we do the finishing, and you can choose wherever you came in to round out this video.